Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Well, Dennis sold off a little bit from the close, got down 10 points the day, and the early morning rally again.
Yeah, same story, Joel. You go to bed, market's down, you wake up, and literally we're up. It's the same thing. Somebody's propping this market up overnight. There's no real news, but we were down 10, we're up 4, so we had a 14-point rally very quickly overnight in the overnight session. So we're up again. I don't know if it's government intervention, I don't know what it is, but somebody keeps propping up this market.
Okay, Globex low, 1245 and a quarter. That was 3 points below Monday's low, so didn't get much below that. If that stands as the low of the day, we'll have a high at 1272 and a quarter. Globex high stands at 1261.75, coming just shy of Friday's high at which was 62.75. If that holds as the high of the day, we have a downside target of 1234.75. Right now, I'm looking for us to hold this 1253.50 to 1255 area, which is the mid-range and the close. Moving on to the Big Ten, another good day for Apple Computer, starting its assault on the $400 level. Made a high of 396.41. Still $3 off that, so that should be good resistance. Trading right near the close, 393.01 with the close. We'll use 393 as a swing number. And mild support, I wouldn't call it good support, at 390.39, which was Monday's low.
Yeah, we got as high as 396.41, $3.50 from that 400. I still think in the back of my mind it's going to test that 400 eventually. But you had the low that called pretty good, Joel, in that 391 area because we bottomed at 390.40. So if you guys were picking up off the Jules call there at the low, that was obviously a good buy. But we're just kind of trending here. I wouldn't say, I'm overly confident that we should be buying. We've obviously had it come from so far 363 just, over a week ago. So it's scary to buy something that's rallied 10% in a week and it's coming into resistance. But that 400 area should be interesting.
Yeah, last time I noticed when Apple kind of peters out the other move, whether it's up or down, is you have a couple of, you have some real nice range days, and then it has like 2 or 3 days where it consolidates on like a tighter range and then makes its next move. But I wouldn't consider 6 points a small range, but we'll see if there's some consolidation in Apple Computer. ExxonMobil was able to take out Friday's high, 80.74. Didn't stay there for long, got up to 81.18, which was Monday's high, and pulled back. Got a great area in the ExxonMobil, and as long as we stay above the 79.50 level, which was encompasses Thursday and Friday's lows, and Monday's low was just above that, as long as we hold that level, we're good to go to the upside, perhaps to test that October high we made at 82.20. And for you guys that are asking Dennis questions out about using that, if I'm short, I'm using that level to buy. If I'm like the market and feeling good, I'm using that area to buy as support, at least for the first time. But once we break through that 79.50 level, there's not too much underneath.
Yeah, and looking up here at that 82.20, $82 has a little bit of size starting to form in the book, so we haven't been up there for a while, so I wouldn't be surprised if you did see some sellers in the high 81s as well. I know we're a buck away from here, but we know how this market can move. It does look like it has consolidated. The nice thing about ExxonMobil in here, we have had some consolidation for a few days. So you always want to make your trade when when it's consolidated, when you can kind of analyze the risk. We go to break out, maybe you want to buy, we go to break down, maybe you want to sell it, but at least we're getting some consolidation here. So which way it goes, I'm not 100% yet. It kind of looks to me on the chart like it wants to break out, but funny things happen. We can just turn around and break down. So you just got to be ready to kind of go either way.
Okay, IBM continues its assault on the $200 level, trying to get Warren into money there. Made a new all-time high is 193.61, so that's the only resistance we have there. Currently trading pretty much flat on the day here, so we will use the close as support in that stock. Close just above Monday's low at 190.38, so we'll use that 190.38 to 40 level. We'll be hanging on to the longs above that level. Takes out that 190.38 level. get out because there's nothing for about $1, and then we'll use the all-time high, 193.61 is excellent resistance.
Yeah, and if you're using the old resistance becomes support technical play, we bottomed out 190.38 yesterday, so maybe $190 does come into play just from a technical perspective as some initial support. Obviously, resistance going to as it continues to make new highs, and then think about the whole numbers too as you take through those. Sometimes those things can hold you back too. From my whole number theory, I still think it's going to march to 200 and eventually test that 200 area, but that could be a few days away yet.
Okay, Microsoft kind of did the reverse breakout effect, opened up near its high, opened above that critical resistance, then pulled back into it, made a low just below that at 25.50, and then went back and tested that high again at 25.80. So we stopped just shy of that 26 level. Good resistance now stands at 25.80. And 25.5 Monday's low looks like good supported. Stock just it's trying to go, but it just seems like there's something holding it back.
Yeah, it seems like there's somebody been selling in here, and it's just been quiet too. Like the range is getting tighter and tighter. I mean, we had a 30-cent range on this yesterday. That's the tightest range we've had in Microsoft in quite some time. So I agree with your numbers. I think you'll see some initial resistance at 26, but it seems like there's just a seller here in the high 25s. So it's how we can kind of break out over 26. Maybe it's still the area where you got to be looking at it to sell it.
Okay, Chevron Corporation did take out the weekly high, got to 104. I really didn't have a relevant number there, but that's going to be a good resistance this morning. Kind of just consolidating around this 103 area. Friday's high and Thursday's high was in that area, and 102.82 was the close. 2-point range for that stock, pretty unusual. So 102 to 104, I think it's any man's guess between those two levels. Break down below this 102.04 level, and we could be looking back down at $100.
Yeah, it's such a quiet day. You know, you wouldn't be surprised some of these stocks actually did have an inside day. Like here's a stock. Low was 102.04 yesterday, high 104, right in the middle of the range, 102.82. If we're up 3, fair value's like 103. So, you know, if we stay quiet, which it looks like we might so far today, then it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, we had that type of inside range. So you'd use yesterday's support at 102.04, possibly for some buys, and, you know, selling in the high 103s if you're using yesterday's high as 104 as resistance.
Okay, moving on to our next component, J&J. Actually had a pretty good range yesterday. Opened up, tested, I didn't get to test Thursday and Friday's high, but snuck above the $64 level to get to 64 and a quarter. And then, the hammer stepped in. That stock got down to 62.85 before recovering at 63.36 on the day. That 65 level still just impossible to get through. Try shorten it again at that, perhaps at that, the yesterday's high, and pulling back on that stock. 62.85 looks like good support.
Yeah, and obviously Joel is pointing it out that 65, well, the seller's still there. So as you get into the 64, 80s, and 90s, there's sellers all over the place. So that's where your major resistance is. But we're starting to top out here in the mid 64s. I think people maybe even just a little bit more aggressive, thinking, you know, I can risk 50 cents on this thing and sell it at 64, you know, and a half if it gets up there. Because I'm even seeing some size start to form there. So you get into the mid 64s, this thing starts to get thick.
Okay, now our next component, and we can talk about it again, Procter & Gamble. 500,000 shares up there at that 65 level. Some of the HFT guys stepped out ahead of that, and they got some out of the trade. It really didn't pull back much, though, down at 64.45 low with an 84 close. It's trading down from that level right now, but I wouldn't be surprised to get back up and test that 65 level again.
Yeah, that 65 seller is still there. I'm going to limit my comments overall. I do have a trading position on in Procter & Gamble. I preach.
Okay. That's good, though. You know, do what you say. AT&T, Monday's high, 91.30. Pulled back on the day, settled at 29.15. Tight range in that as well. Monday's low at 28.99. So between 29 and 29.30, your guess is as good as mine. break down below that 29 level, I'd be looking for the mid-28s, perhaps Thursday's low at 28.67. Major resistance stands at that October 28th high, same as this is in a lot of stocks at 29.80.
Yeah, 29.5 too, Joel. We topped out there 3 or 4 times in early November, so I still think you're going to see some major resistance at 29.5. I think that's where it wants to go. We're at 29.15, so we're 40 cents away. We got to 29.30, so I think you'll see a lot of sellers in the 29.40s as they're leaning on that 29.50 area.
Okay. Any news on GE this morning? I see it's.
Yeah, there's an upgrade over at Bernstein, so that's what's giving it a little pop. I mean, Bernstein and me. So that's why you're seeing it up 20 cents this morning, Joel.
Okay, yeah, because sometimes it doesn't move 20 cents in a day, so it's up 22 overnight. 16.5, it's trading above Monday's high, which also exceeded the weekly high. Use that 1650 as a swing number. If in fact we can hold 1650, I do have a November 3rd high at 1669, but the main number is the October 31st high at 1701. Can't hold that 1650 down as I look for a test of the close at 1633.
Yeah, definitely the close probably gives you some support now too. Below that, obviously 16. We've talked about that for a few days, so that's huge support down there. With the stock upgrade today, very doubtful. I doubt it's going to get back down to the closing price, but pullback's probably to be bought on this, especially when it has an upgrade. I think it's probably wanting to merge to 17. I think that's where it kind of wants to go. So I think you'll see the high frequency guys selling in the high 16s. Maybe you want to sell along with them. Takes out 17.
Okay. Coca-Cola. Kind of a funky stock here. It did get a pop off the open, got above the 67 level. Seller stepped in, took it down to 65.88, and even took out Friday's low. Recovered and settled at 66.31 on the day, 7 cents from Friday's close there. So you can use that 66.30 area as a swing number. If you're buying it there, you might have to risk down to Monday's low, which 65.88. Then I really don't see anything coming up on the upside here, Dennis, to stop the stock to going back to 67.19 today.
Yeah, that's where it's going to start. Your resistance will start up there. It's a great number, 67.19. And then all the way, like in the mid-67s to upper 67s, we've always had sellers on this all over the place. Obviously, that huge seller was up there at 68. He's still kicking around. So, in the high 67s, there's major high-frequency selling pressure. But it seems like our swing traders are more aggressive nowadays, and they've been selling the mid-67s. So I think that trend is going to continue. So if this thing pops up a buck, it's probably not a bad idea to be looking at the sell side.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've had a big rally here, and now when you're looking at the true orders in the book, the New York book, they're big offers. Dennis, I really haven't heard you mention about any huge bids underneath supporting the market. So let's see if that's a little signal for things to come. That's a wrap of the SPUs and the Big Ten. We'll be back in a few minutes with our market movers.